Elsword is an ambitious but hot-headed young swordsman trained by his sister Elisis, the leader of the Red Knights.
Elsword, this is a red corner card that is trained in ambition and horse training.
Elisis left her little brother to lead a mission, never to return.
He has a brother Rel's mission and he completes his mission not to bring him back.
Elsword now searches the land for two things: the precious gems that power his kingdom, and his missing sister.
Now Elsword asks these two questions from God and my brother then.
Aisha was already a mage of the highest order at the tender age of 12 until a ring of sinister power absorbed her abilities.
Aisha was 12 years older than magic before starting the party.
Intelligent and brash, she once again starts her journey to recover all her lost knowledge.
He made an extraordinary journey and stimulated and healed all lost experiences.
Aisha is a mage who relies on her spell-casting abilities to inflict major damage on an opponent.
Aisha is a magician who uses magic to do great damage to enemies.
She also has the abilities to attack multiple targets at once.
You can attack several levels at once.
All of the magician's spells are elemental. She can gain an advantage by tailoring her attacks to a monster's natural element.
They are all part of drugs. They have the privilege of attacking monsters.
In hand-to-hand combat, she favors the staff.
Workers are willing to fight alone.
Rena is an elf living in the mortal world.
There are people in this service.
Her place in this world is jeopardized by the weakening of the power shards that energize everything, including the connection to her home world.
A weak world threatens the situation. Wherever I was born, everyone in the world breathed new life into this part of the process.
If this power fades, the ties that bind the two planes will vanish, as will Rena herself.
If this power is lacking, the relationship between the two groups will be weak, according to Lena.
She uses her abilities as a ranger to protect the Elle and her friend.
Unique features that protect friends using music.
Rena is a marksman with ranged weapons and the ability to call on the elements to fuel her magic attacks.
The line used a long series of pistols in this magic attack.
When cornered though, she has no problem striking enemies with her awesome kicks.
I think this game contains contest issues that I don't understand.
She also has the ability to seemingly fly through the air with her double jump.
You can also fly twice.
Raven is a commoner from the Kingdom of Elder who worked hard to become the captain of the Crow Mercenary Knights.
Raven Battery UK will fall in love.
Causing jealousy among the nobles, he was soon framed and sentenced to prison.
They immediately shot him.
His comrades and fiancé rescued him, and they all hid within the forest in the outskirts of Elder.
Your friends and friends are saved and everyone puts them in the forest.
Unfortunately, Elder soldiers found them and eliminated them one by one.
Unfortunately, the soldiers destroyed the mountain.
Raven stared at all the fallen bodies around him as he took what would have been his last few breaths.
Let's look at the company.
Just then, an Assad figure appeared before him and everything turned black.
He smiled that everything was black.
Raven awoke in an Assad capsule, with devices attached to various parts of his body.
Registration begins with Nestor's skull. This device connects different parts of the body properly.
Reborn with an Assad arm and holding a blade on the right hand, he blindly fought to destroy the kingdom he once protected.
He shook hands with Nasdaq and began a great struggle for the government.
Until one day, he met a crew of young, ambitious heroes who reminded him of his duty to defend his fellows.
One day he met a talented group and recalled his military rescue.
In atonement for his sins, he decides to join Elsword and his friends on a new life adventure of finding the missing Elle.
Elsword and his friends decided that there was a risk of a new life.
Eve was once called the Little Queen of Nasads when humans and Nasads peacefully coexisted in ancient Elrios.
Eve was called the firstborn and her husband Elias was called a peaceful parent with a sword.
For thousands of years, Eve was preserved in her capsule unit to avoid the catastrophic battle between humans and Nasads, until an Elle fragment flew into it. Eve woke up to find out that she was stranded alone in the present time.
It took thousands of years to avoid the terrible competition between the people and Nadad until El Misty defeated Eve and lost her knowledge.
She gathered her remaining energy and ancient knowledge to revive King Nasad and the Nasad race.
She gathered strength and knowledge to inform King Nassau and the Nasad family.
A queen cannot be without a king, and Eve understood that best.
The king could not find the king and Eve knew that was enough.
Years pass and King Nasad is on a mission to continue the ancient war with the humans.
Over the years, King Nasus led an ancient war with the people.
He and his followers had become corrupted and no longer acknowledge Eve.
He and his staff committed a crime so they could not reach Eve.
In the midst of the war, a young red-haired boy and his friends destroy the last of Eve's race and ends King Nasad's reign.
At the convention, politicians and his party destroyed Eve's last meeting and ended King Nar's throne.
Once again, Eve is left stranded and alone in this present time as though her efforts were meaningless.
Besides that, Eve's work is not her own. She lives alone.
But not all hope is lost.
But that's not all.
Eve decides to regain the power of El and hopes to revive her race once again.
Eve decided to regain her strength and wanted to continue the race.
She decides to follow the red-haired boy and his friends to find the El shards.
After that, the redhead El Chiado decided to find a friend.
It was, after all, the first time a boy said he wanted to be her friend.
The boy said he was a friend.
Chung was born into the Seeker family that protects Hamel, the capital of Senis.
Sympathetic Yong was born in the eagle's chest.
Known widely as Prince Seeker, he was trained in combat ever since he was young.
He is known as Prince Sarkar and learned how to deal with childhood.
When Hamel was under attack by demons, his father was devoted to holding off the attacks.
When the devil attacked Amziaf, his father opposed the attack.
Unfortunately, the demon possessed his father, who then unwittingly led the enemies to attack Hamel.
Unfortunately, the devil has a father who attacked Hamas.
Chung tried to hold off his father, but he got seriously wounded by him.
Jug tried to stop his father, but he was seriously injured.
Elsword and his friends helped Chung escape the battlefield so he could recover from his wounds.
Elvis Ward and his friend escaped from the battlefield.
While he recuperated, most parts of Senis became occupied by demons.
Devil especially in Seneca.
He then decided to leave Hamel in the hands of the Red Knights and go with Elsword to train and become stronger than ever.
Jamil lives in Dedan and is trained and strengthened by monks.
Prince Seeker then swore that he will not use the Seeker name and will call himself Chung until he returns to save Hamel and take the Water El back from the demons.
The prince vowed never to use the sugar shield, saved Johnny Hull and summoned reason to hell.
The young lady Era of the Han warrior family in Fluan's northern empire is a skilled martial artist specializing in the spear.
Victor Virgo is Danny Fludder in the northern royal family.
One day, she came very close to death when her brother Aaron, now known as Ran, came upon the Dark El, transformed into a demon, and led other demons to attack and destroy their village.
He is one of the speakers. Butler is Butler's parents. He left the plate because he wanted to die. He has run out of town.
At that moment, she found the heirloom, an old hairpin, from which a spirit's powers emerged to help her drive the demons away.
So you have to follow culture.
It was the spirit of the nine-tailed fox named Dune.
Satan rejects spiritual power.
The spirit agrees to keep lending Era her abilities in order to find Aaron, and in return, Era promises to help Woon find El that is strong enough to set her free from the heirloom.
The last person is in 9 graves. Ron Allen distribution will continue.
In Awakening, Woon's mythical presence takes over Era. Soon, in her journey to find Ran, Era meets Elsword and the El search party.
This is a great way to see, encourage, and believe in words about green leaves. Green. Green. How do you know the importance of green and white?
Together, they may yet recover Aaron and the El.
I don't want to use El Salvador now.
Elisis is Elsword's older sister and sword-fighting mentor.
Alice is sister and sister.
At 16, she had already traveled far to become a better sword fighter.
At the age of 16, he became an important hero and had traveled a long journey.
Turns to Reuben to join her brother in training, only to part ways again after enduring a vicious attack from the demons.
The dictator was returned to the train with his brother, but the devil was angry after marriage.
With a mission to protect El Rios from an absolute demon invasion, Elisis takes on the road once more.
Antenna arms protect the field of view of the lens.
This may be the best way to keep her brother and their homeland safe.
Protecting your sister is probably the best way in this country.
While she does not know when, Elisis eagerly looks forward to someday reuniting with her beloved brother.
Eli saw his beloved brother.
A descendant of a family that studied Nasads, Ad is an intelligent mechanic who had inherited the fascination for the robotic race.
Family education in the fields of mental health and robots.
When his entire family was captured and slain for investigating the Nasad's forbidden secrets, Ad was forced into slavery.
Whole families imprisoned and tested at SSM.
While trying to escape, he fell into an ancient library and was trapped for a long time.
Going to an old library and living for a year.
Here, he continued his study of Nasads, and in due time, he invented a weapon called the Nasad Dynamo.
He searched Nazareth and finally found a way to find it.
He eventually used the weapon to escape the library before it could collapse on him.
If he has weapons in front of the library.
Ridden with insanity due to isolation, Ad took to the road to find rare Nasad codes, but discovered that the library's time distortion had sent him far into the future when the Nasad race had already fallen.
Edzad is the only way to get a customized Nidra key, but there isn't much competition for the library.
He tried to return to the past at first, but then he changed his mind when he found traces of Eve.
He tried to return but there were signs of Eve.
The demon monarch Lu emerges in El Rios as a small child after using up all her mana to escape the realm of demons.
All prisoners and sons of the king who gave Satan life.
Due to her servant's betrayal, she has lost all her power and possessions.
I am a slave and lost all my strength.
A hitman named Seal finds Lu in her weak state and takes her in.
The killing was considered a crime.
Her name is all she remembers.
And that reminds me of my name.
Before long, assassins from the demon world come for Lu, and Seal gives his life to protect her.
He saved lives by protecting workers and killing demons in the last world.
Just then, Lu remembers everything.
And remember the mountain sheep.
A mystical contract allows her to revive Seal as a half-demon, and he is bound to serve her in return.
He also paid attention to the epic rainbow of crime and evil.
Now, with Ciel's help, Lu sets out to take everything back.
Residents are now throwing a rainbow to another location.
Together, they are Lucille, a dangerous duo in pursuit of demons that plague the land.
At the same time, they searched for spirits and Lucille became dangerous.
Before she was called Rose, she was known as Anna Testarossa.
Before he was withdrawn, he was named Anata Beriscosa.
She was sent to military school at a young age following her family's path.
He traveled with his family and was sent to a teenage military school.
She graduated to become a royal guard and eventually became part of an elite force called Majestic Garden, a group whose sole purpose was to protect the princess.
The aim of this organization, which was released from the royal mines, was to protect the fortress and attack fire in the large park.
She was sent to El Rios after monsters from that dimension slipped through a dimensional tear and attacked the princess.
A beautiful piece of house was sent to Elliot.
Her task is to seek out the source of the catastrophe and put an end to it.
His job is to identify and correct the cause of the accident.
Ancient Ishmael was created by the goddess Ishmael to restore the power of El.
Ellen was built to reach the power of the goddess Anus Wheel.
When the El exploded into tiny shards, he fell through a time and space gap created by the explosion.
I sat exploding on the bed, using discs and other small items.
After falling through the gap, Ain lacked the power to sustain his existence and started to wilt away.
The spacecraft was discovered after the disaster began the declaration.
While in the gap, he wandered aimlessly through the chaos of time and space.
In times of crisis.
He eventually felt a faint power of the El and instinctively chased after it.
After all, his strength was weak and the results were.
He felt the El getting stronger, and with a renewed sense of the mission, he regained his powers and was able to escape.
50 new heavy jobs were stolen, so talk.
Now, after escaping the chaos of the time and space gap, he returns to El Rios to assist the El search party and fulfill his mission.
Get help now and change vacuum power, El.
Every new thing is exciting and interesting to Labby.
Father and the others are happy.
May seem eccentric with how she expresses her feelings, but she is always eager to learn new things.
No wonder showing love, but try new things.
She lived deep within Black Forest for an unspecified time, but she was finally able to leave, led by Third Blue Light.
There is a forest on the ground, so it lights up.
She decides to leave the forest and go on a journey to learn who she is.
The girl came out and saw it.
The mirror that follows her around is her trusted ally and confidant.
On the left,
Helps Labby out as if it has its own conscience.
with the help of his father and him, he finally took him out.
Adept at using her fists, Labby will occasionally use her mirror in combat.
Sometimes it is short and nice, and there are no sleeves.